Hey, what's going on, YouTube? This is something I was going to talk about a minute ago because I'm just tired of watching my people get exploited and going for the okie doke every time there's something popular that comes on or across YouTube they think they're supposed to jump on. And this whole thing with the whole Ados or Ados, American descendants of slavery, led by Yvette Carnell. You know, I have first liked the idea. Let me first say this about all of this. We're supposed to be more careful than this as a people. And all of a sudden, see, I wasn't even going to talk about this, but I see all of a sudden black folks are fighting each other over a reparations discussion based on the antics of Yvette Carnell and what she put forth as far as this agenda for the American descendants of slavery, supposedly asking for reparations and starting a new movement per se. In my last video, I was talking about reparations because of what Yvette Carnell is doing. This has become a hot topic and everybody's talking about reparations now. But this is the thing. We have to make sure that there are pure motives in these type of things. And a lot of our people have fallen asleep to being able to recognize people's motives rather than just jumping on something that sounds good. You got to look into everything and everybody. So even though my last video I did like, and I still like the idea that Yvette Carnell, what she has done is got the conversation of reparations popular. That is a conversation that needs to be had and needs to be spread around like it is. So I'm glad that's happening. But what she herself is doing and what she's put forth in this, you know, what she's calling the Ados movement, I was just thinking the other day, like, look, something's up with this, right? I was like, you know what? The more I look into this and the more I hear what these people are saying, you know, what she's saying, I said, could this possibly be something that could be rigged to help Donald Trump? And could it be something that's not meant really to help black folks, but really has a political agenda to help Trump get elected? These were my thoughts the other day, right? So I was going to talk about it, and I happened to look on YouTube and see New Possibilities did a video on Yvette having a video with the pro-Trump cap, I forget what they call it, where it's talking about Make America Great Again and then taking it down. So shout out to New Possibilities. If you haven't subscribed to him, go ahead and subscribe to him, New Possibilities. Because it's funny, I happened to see that and I was thinking some of the same stuff and I'm like, you know what, man, this is really funny. So, and he also has a video showing that Yvette is involved in I guess, an organization that's involved with white supremacists. White supremacists are involved in this organization, which she is I guess, a chairperson on, or she's on the board rather, right? And it's an anti-immigration type of an organization, which I'm going to get into this whole anti-immigration rhetoric. All right. There's a lot of red flags that people are not paying attention to. And you got to be careful. Even though something sounds like it's going in the right direction, you got to look at people's motives and you got to look at red flags and recognize when there is a red flag, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, this is the first thing I want to say about this. All right. Cointeltube first, before I get into anything. We supposed to already know how this government and this system of white supremacy operates when it comes to progression of black people and anything that we try to do to, you know, make our situation more empowered or whatnot. We've already known that they've already put forth all types of agendas and all types of, you know, the government itself has got involved in, you know, destabilizing the black community in all kinds of different ways. We already know about what they did with, you know, infiltration and, you know, the Black Panthers, things like that. We know how they got rid of Malcolm and Martin, and this happened throughout the 60s and the 70s. You get into the whole drug war and things like that. You get into Reagan and stuff that Reagan did. You look into what he did with Haiti, all these different things. Now, you got to understand, this stuff never stopped. And sometimes we forget these people want to have a hand in how we're influenced. So to make sure that we go in the wrong direction, this is a top priority for these people. We forget these things, right? So if that's what they're trying to do, and they've always been trying to do that and haven't stopped, what do you think is going on with YouTube, which is one of the biggest media outlets that we have right now? Don't you think that if they use agents to infiltrate everything else, don't you think they would infiltrate, or they will have agents all over YouTube to steer our people in the wrong direction? Because this is what these people do. And if they haven't been doing that, then they are off their job. So what I noticed about all this, okay, it's not enough to just hear what people say. You got to see what they're doing. And so a lot of these people that are putting forth agendas on YouTube, look at the ones who have all of the, who's getting all the attention, all the views and all that stuff, all the traffic, right? YouTube controls who gets the most traffic and who don't. And if you look at the characteristics of the ones getting all the traffic, they're all similar. This is not by accident. You got to pay attention. You have to understand there's a difference between black people who put themselves out there as leaders and people that care about black people, who say they love black people, right? And they're talking to black people as if they want to help. You know what I'm saying? But that's not their true agenda. But they put themselves out there like that's what they're trying to do. And so listen very, very carefully to what I'm about to say. All right. There's a difference between people that want to talk to black people because they want black people to do better because they care, and somebody that's out there talking down to black people or talking to black people because they think they are better. You have to know the difference. And a lot of these people that is black YouTube, they are yelling at, shouting down black people, screaming at black people, talking down to black people as if they don't like black people. Why is that? Because a lot of times the people with all this traffic, that's because they're trying to cater to a white audience. That's what people don't understand. When you see these people getting all this, it's because they're catering to white folks. Those are white views they're getting. Whether it be because there's some agenda or whatever, like I said before, we'd be stupid to think that there's no such thing as a COINTELPRO agenda for YouTube. That means they got to have people out there doing this on purpose. I'm not going to get into who and how and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying be aware of people's agenda. If they're not saying nothing about the system that they supposedly tell you to hate and they supposedly tell you is the problem, which is white supremacy, but all they do is trash black folks, that's an agenda. Why? Because if you want white supporter, viewers, or whatever you call it, if you want any type of white following, you can't talk about black power. You can't talk about black nationhood. Right? You can't talk about that kind of stuff. You can't talk about things that white supremacy is doing as far as oppression and stuff that they're doing. You can't place blame on them, but they will deal with you if you place blame on yourself or your own people and attack them. And that's what's going on. So I'm saying all this to get to Yvette Carnell. And I hate to do this, but I see what's going on. And every time, see, this whole Ados agenda, all of a sudden, all of black YouTube jumps on this. Like, this is the hot topic. Why is everybody on this? Because all the people on YouTube are talking about it. It's not because black people have done some their own research or have taken their own action into their own hands, or they've done some homework as far as what people have already done concerning reparations. It's just popular on YouTube. Why? Because all of black YouTube is talking about it. And I don't think that's by accident. And they're all on code at the same time that she's putting this out. So we have to be careful as far as what people's agendas and intentions are behind why they're spreading all this around. So what do we have? Because of all this, now everybody's fighting each other on who gets reparations. But I want you to pay attention to something. These people, like I said before, putting pressure. Are they shouting down the people that are responsible for giving us reparations? Are they shouting down our people? Are they attacking our people? Because now they want to attack Pan-Africanism. So this made me look at it like, this isn't what they trying to say it is. And this happens a lot in black YouTube. They got people out here to play a role like they're for black people when they're really for the opposite, and hope you don't catch on. So this is the thing. If you look at Yvette Carnell's page, right, which I'm already a subscriber, so I'm already familiar a little bit with some of her stuff, but all her stuff, if you go down the list of her videos, I was gonna do clips and stuff at first, but you know, I'll just read a little bit about some of the things that her content, you know, puts out to us as far as a answer for the situation black people are in or whatever. This is the way she promotes it. What she does is most of her videos are pro-Trump. And you got to watch that. Now, remember I talked about Cointeltube. The reason why I brought that up too is because these are the same people that steered the civil rights movement as far as integration and all that stuff. The people that made that popular or whatever, or that pushed that agenda. I want you to pay attention to some of this. There's red flags as to who their true alliance is with. A lot of those people were swirlers. A lot of those people were homosexuals. Like, what's his name? Baynard Rustin, I think his name was. The guy in the Malcolm X video I just did, James Farmer, he had a white wife, which a lot of them did back then, when they pushed integration, because you have to understand all that was paid for by people like the Rockefellers, Rothschilds. They backed them. They backed the March on Washington. They backed all of that. So these people, when you talk about white supremacy, they want to control, you know, our mindset as far as what we're going to follow and which direction we're going to go. So is that what's happening with this Ados thing? That's my point. Feminism, that was another one. You know what I'm saying? When you got people like Agent La Davis, right? These three things, when you deal with homosexuality, you know, the intermixing, and when you deal with feminism, those are all things that are harmful to the black community. Right? So why am I bringing all this up? I told you, red flags. Yvette Carnell is all three. She encompasses all three of those things. So right there, that should have gave y'all. See, there's a lot of black power people out here. This is what's kind of irritating me. People that are supposed to be pro-black are jumping on board with this woman. When before they were saying, you got to watch people that have certain allegiances and have these same red flags or signs I'm talking about. But all of a sudden, since this is so popular, we just supposed to jump on board with this woman. So keep that in mind. These are the type of people that pushed the whole segregation, civil rights and everything back in the day. And a lot of those guys are, you know, all those people were straight up agents. We talk about the, what do they call the boule and all that stuff, right? Just like the guy that's out there for Trump now. There's a black man that's out there promoting Trump. He's a homosexual. He's the main dude you see on CNN and all that stuff, you know, debating people or whatever. These are clues as to who you're dealing with. These aren't people that are working for us, right? So now, when you look at her videos, she'll have videos like titles saying, like Donald Trump is so right about how poor black people are. She'll have one. She's got one called "How Should Americans React to Trump?" You know, check out how she talks in these videos. She's got one, Trump walks out on border wall negotiations. Trump is not wrong about, you know, birthright citizenship explained. Those type of videos, you got to understand. She always attacks Democrats. In all these videos, they attack Democrats. What does that mean? Now, I can understand that most black people are just in love with the Democrats, and therefore you might talk about Democrats in a negative way more because of that. That's one thing. But if you're talking about Democrats and giving accolades to Republicans, that's an agenda. That's different. And what she does is when she talks about Trump, she never attacks or criticizes Trump or the Republicans. She always gives them points. Check out her videos. She'll always give Trump points or positive gratification or whatever based on things he says. Whenever black people, like when she talks about how we responded, she criticizes black people on how we responded to Trump. Oh, well, you shouldn't say he's racist. That's not the best thing to say. He's a racist. You shouldn't be against the having a wall on the border, right? Because that's our security. Why are black people? And she'll be shouting down black people because black folks have these stances against Trump. So that tells me that you either, because she says the only way we're going to get out of this, the only thing that will help black people is if we get involved politically. You must use the political Americans, right? But if you're telling people they need to vote and the only thing you're doing is trashing every Republican, trashing every Democrat, and you want people to vote, who are you influencing black people to vote for? Even though you're not verbally saying vote for Trump, if I'm trashing the Democrats and always giving positive feedback on Trump, how is that going to influence black folks? People have puppet strings, and you have to be able to recognize those strings by the stuff that they promote and who they back and who they criticize and don't criticize. This woman criticizes black people all the time. But if you're really about ending white supremacy, shouldn't you have some videos that are criticizing these politicians? Shouldn't you have some videos talking about, the people you say are the enemy, but all your videos attack black folks and particularly Democratic black folks? So what's all this mean? You know, and that's another thing. These people, black YouTube folks, like I told you before about the Cointelpro, they don't ever have anything. They say be against white supremacy and all this stuff, and this is the problem. But at the same time, all they do is chump out black folks. They don't talk about the dusty beta white politicians in the Capitol, in the White House. They don't have any attack videos going toward none of them. But they want to tell you, go this direction, follow me when it comes to our liberation. So, and she also has a lot of anti-African videos where she attacks Pan-Africanism, saying that Pan-Africanism is dead and whatnot or whatever. You know, that's very dangerous, because again, you're promoting, that's why it's called Ados, the American descendants of, she makes it very clear we are Americans, and she has great hatred basically toward Africans. She says in her videos that they're not my family. She rejects Africans altogether. But my problem is, up until now, everybody that's been dealing with reparations come from the angle that that's why we need reparations, because you stole us from Africa. So how can you cut Africa out the picture when that's where the whole idea of you being kidnapped or snatched away comes from? It's because you're an African. So that causes division. And that's another thing about Cointeltube or YouTube, these black YouTube people. It's always about distraction and division, never any real solution talk. Never. It's just going back and forth, fighting each other. And I want to give a shout out to Garfield Reed, because what he did was he got on the phone and started calling live on his show, Dagger Squad. If you haven't subscribed, you need to subscribe to Dagger Squad, by the way. But I like how he actually took some action and called himself live on the telephone, some congressmen, and pressured them about, I think it's called HD, I forget what it's called, but the reparation agenda is already on the table for these politicians that our people already have been working on, that people have already signed and everything, and trying to ask them why you had, the ones that haven't, why haven't you signed? So my thing is, if you're serious about getting white people to pay reparations, isn't that the people you're supposed to be attacking? And people are attacking him because he's Jamaican, because Jamaicans aren't really descendants of slaves or whatever. And that's another thing. The main thing that this woman talks about is who gets reparations. So all this arguing and fighting is about something that they haven't even decided that they're going to do yet. And already she's got black people fighting each other on who gets the spoils, who gets reparations, people fighting over that. You haven't even took it to the enemy yet. You've made us your enemy. And people are getting on board with this thing. And my thing is, you know, that's fine about the whole Jamaican and Africans and, you know, they're immigrants or whatever. I can understand what you're saying, but the problem with that is that's not who you're supposed to be putting pressure on. That's not the people you're supposed to be fighting. Because, you know, the whole thing, you know, who cares if he's Jamaican, if he, I can understand all that art, but my thing is, I'm not going to trash that man because he's Jamaican. He's right. And if he's telling you the right thing to do, why are you bashing him? And it's real funny to me because a lot of these people that are supposed to be so-called pro-black or whatever, before all of this, they were dealing, you know, they were still supporting, oh, what's that guy's name that was Jamaican and, you know, Marcus Garvey. They had Marcus Garvey all in their mouth. He supported our people and he was pro-Africa, but he was Jamaican. Now, why weren't these people attacking Marcus Garvey all up until now? So we're being had again, and it's very frustrating because, you know, it's just crazy to me. So anyway, and these people, it's crazy because you'll have people with the whole red, black, green, you know, all up in their avatars, and they'll be going on other people's pages attacking people because they're Pan-African. You know what I'm saying? All with the red, gold, black, green, and all that in their, you know what I'm saying? That's what they got our people doing, man. All of a sudden, they don't want to rally around the red, gold, black, and green all of a sudden. Now that's a problem. So, you know, now, if you go to the actual site, the Ados site that she has up, right, for her so-called plan for reparations, and she's working with this guy, Tone Talks, or what, Tone, I don't know his name or whatever. He's just really just a soft milquetoast dude that don't really take, you know, strong stances on nothing or whatever. So he's the perfect person that would just follow along with whatever she says. You know, on that site, you know what I'm saying, there's red flags there. Now, I do like some of the stats she puts up. And I encourage people to look at the site. I can't remember the name of it or whatever. The website has her whole plan or agenda for how she feels we should go about getting reparations from the government. And I do like how she puts stats and information and all that. But this is the problem. She'll put this, like, this is one thing she said. On the first page, she gives points to Ronald Reagan. Now, she says this. She says former President Reagan had committed. This is some of the arguments she's giving why you should support her way of getting reparations, right? She said former President Ronald Reagan committed to strengthening the capacity of historically black colleges and universities to provide quality education. In Executive Order 12320, but then she says President Obama, who she attacks a lot, undermined that with changes to all that stuff or whatever. And also changes to the plus loan requirements. So again, you have she's using Reagan to attack the Democrats. But this is the thing. You could have mentioned all kinds of people that you could have gave some credit to. But Ronald Reagan? Now, somebody that's for your people, is that somebody that you're going to prop up? That was the first red flag, right? You got to pay attention to this stuff. And then she also says in another place, she says, President Trump. Like I said, this one's always propping up Trump. She said, President Trump's assertion, this is quoted from her website. President Trump's assertion during the 2016 presidential campaign that black Americans have nothing to lose. Remember, Trump said that when he got elected or whatever, was campaigning. He said blacks have nothing to lose. So why not support me? But she's saying black people met him with defiance when he said that. And she's criticizing black people for having a problem with Trump, which is what she always does. Right? So she gives points to Trump and she gives points to Reagan. Like I said, she's not criticizing both parties, which black people shouldn't have nothing to do with either party, which if you were true about helping black folks, that's the rhetoric that you would be pushing. But she always gives credence to Trump and the Republicans. She won't attack Republicans. She won't say nothing bad about Republicans. She talks in PC, politically correct rhetoric. She's always talking about some anti-Semitic. She's pro-feminist and all these different things. These are all rhetoric that comes from the system, you know, the system of white supremacy that they want us to follow. This has nothing to do with, you know, us coming up with some answers on our own that we know our needs are. That, you know, we know what our needs are. And she's always talking about we need to talk to Trump. You know, we shouldn't just push Trump to the side. We need to try to talk to him. You know what I'm saying? Because this is how we're going to get our reparations. And this is the problem with all this, right? And I'm just going to put this out here. This is what I think is going to happen. They're not going. A lot of people are on board thinking, wow, this is a great thing. And next thing we're going to see is Yvette Carnell and Tone or whatever are going to be up in the government's face, putting pressure on these white politicians. And we're going to see some changes finally. None of that's going to happen. This is what they're planning to do. They're going to have a convention in October. Conventions are money. So between now and October, you don't have any plans to step foot in any of the government buildings. You don't have any plans to put pressure or shout down any of these white politicians that are responsible for giving you these reparations in the first place. You go wait all the way till October just to have a convention. Now, that's getting close to the election. And this is why I say there's even a deeper agenda as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what anybody thinks, because I see how people are moving. And people can be mad or whatever. Isn't it funny that at the same time all this is happening, that you see in the presidential campaigning that's going on, all of a sudden Democrats are talking about the same thing Yvette Carnell is talking about. You get all this questioning about reparations. But who are they questioning? Democrats. Whether it's what's his name? I don't forgot their name. There's the black woman. Well, she's not really black. She's mixed or whatever. And then there's the black dude. And then there's Bernie Sanders. And this is the thing, okay? This happens to be happening at the same time. That's not by accident. Because what this does, look, remember I told you about a white audience? Whenever the media is being controlled by them, it's going to be their rhetoric that they want to hear. So it's really, you know, if the Democratic politicians even mention reparations, do you know what that's going to do to their white support? What you see in the media is not always for the way black people are supposed to view it. A lot of it is for how white people are supposed to perceive it. And if white people keep hearing about reparations, they're going to be turned off by the Democrats. That's one. The second thing is, if these Democrats say no, like Bernie Sanders and the other woman, if they say no to reparations, that's going to leave a bad taste in black folks' mouth. So you're going to lose black voters. So that's why I say this is all just a plot to smear and make a clown and a fool out of the Democrats, which is going to help Trump's campaign. That's going to help him get reelected. That's all this is doing as far as I'm concerned. If Democrats are seen, see, it's all in the media. If the media keeps creating, if they keep showing these Democrats, It don't matter if they're for it or against it. If they're against it, that hurts because you're going to lose black voters. If they're for it, that hurts them because they're going to lose white voters. Either way, that helps. So all Trump would have to do is say something. He won't mention reparations. That'll hurt him. But he might say something just like he did with Steve Harvey, just like he did with Kanye. He's going to say something that sounds like he's about to help black people, like he did with that thing talking about he's going to put money into the black communities. He said he's going to have the private industries invest in the black communities. And black people were excited about that. Oh, he said something about he's going to help black. First of all, the private industry, when you say private industries, who are we talking about? Because last time I checked, there's already private industries in the black communities. McDonald's, you know what I'm saying? Our people are not the industries. We don't have industries. We're not the private sector. So if you put private sector businesses and you have them get rich off the black community, who profits? Our people or their people? We keep getting suckered by this stuff. So anyway, if Trump says anything, he might say something just enough to get black people's attention. That's going to take all those votes from the people that's pissed off at the Democrats right there. And then once he's reelected, you won't hear no more about this reparation stuff out of Yvette Carnell. I guarantee you, we won't hear no more of that stuff, because that was the trick, is to get him reelected. He has no intentions in it, and you're a foolish person if you think Trump has any intention on giving y'all reparations. And if you think somebody like that is on our side, then something's wrong. And if someone's convinced you that somebody like that could be on our side, something is wrong. Now, you can try all you want. I'm here to tell you, why is all this happening? And at the same time, the Democrats are getting clowned. The Democrats are looking foolish right now. You even had Al Gore talk about something with reparations. All this is doing is pissing off white folks. That's what this is for. If you really were serious about reparations, you'd be going into these government buildings and be putting pressure on these people, like some people have been doing the whole time. But this YouTube rhetoric and all this talking is a distraction. All this stuff, like what agents do is, their intentions are always distraction and division. And what do you have from Yvette Carnell? A bunch of talk about reparations, no action, and division. Oh, let's go attack Africans now. Let's go attack people that say they're Pan-African. And let me say something about this, because she brought up this whole thing about Africans are our enemy. They're the ones that enslaved us, which again is a white supremacist rhetoric. Okay? Why are you letting... You're supposed to be against white supremacist action and white supremacist agendas, but you're always giving them a pass at the same time. That's a red flag. Now, the Africans that sold us, all right, it didn't happen like white folks went in there and said, hey, you know what? We're going to do this thing where we're going to enslave y'all and these other people over here. You want to be involved? And they just get on board. Yeah, let's do that. It wasn't quite like that, because white people had these things called guns. So even though we did have some sellouts, it was perpetrated. The whole idea of the slave trade was perpetrated by Europeans who had the guns. And if you went against that, you knew what was going to happen. And this is generally what happened with the Africans, why they went along with it. So you can try to make Africans the enemy all you want. But like I said, that's all part of the agenda. And when you say I don't know the actual definition for Pan-African, but when you're Pan-African, you know, that means you look at Africa as, you know, your home, and everybody that was taken in slavery or the diaspora or whatnot, you're an African. Your brothers with the Africans on the continent and the Africans who have been spread abroad through, you know, the transatlantic slave trade and the diaspora. We're all Africans with a common need to be separate and to be independent from the system of white supremacy and colonialism. This is what you believe. So it's a belief that we be moving in a certain direction. It's a mindset that we need to move in a certain direction as Africans. And that's the direction we need to move if we're going to have any type of success or progress or power. Again, like I always say, Africa has the resources. That's why all these other people are over there sucking up the resources. They seem to be hip to that. We don't. It just seems like our people want to be eternal indentured servants to the American white system, rather than have their own nation. And I want to give a shout out to the BAIO, Black African Infrastructure Organization. BAIO, look it up on Google and YouTube and subscribe to them, because they deal with nationhood, infrastructure, because that's the only thing that is going to put us in a position where we can survive apart from white supremacy if we have something of our own. Black YouTube ain't going to talk about having things of our own. These are the things they'll never talk about. Why? Because I told you, puppet strings. They're commissioned not to talk about that stuff. You got to play ball with the American system. But it's that same American system you say you have a problem with. Having a nation, land, infrastructure, those are things that should be being talked about. So attacking Pan-Africanism, you know, these aren't your enemies. Like, these things are not against black people. The African continent, and people wanting to take advantage of the resources of the African continent, that's not something that's detrimental to our people. White supremacy is. So why are people fighting against people that choose to go that route with it? Again, agenda. So, you know, that's what I think about it. Let me see what y'all saying in chat, man. I'm just tired, man. I see all this fight. It's like we fall for this time, man. Not we. A lot of I don't fall for it. A lot of these people fall for this stuff, man. It's like crazy. And these people are supposed to be about our people. And you just jump on anybody that tells you, hey, we got to go this direction. And I don't have a problem with, like I said, the conversation of reparations, but, you know, the division and the attacking and the right-wing agenda stuff, that's got to be called out. And ain't nobody doing that. Everybody's calling out each other. Distraction. But yeah, that's all I got for right now. I just wanted to, I don't think I see any comments or whatever. But let me know what y'all think. And wait, let me see. What's that? The Charles Wu effect. Yeah, I don't know what that's talking about. But yeah. So yeah, I'm out. Peace to y'all. I'll probably be back later or tomorrow or something. I got other stuff I want to talk about. Let me see.